ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
What do Rasputin, Tupac and Pharaoh Ramses III have in common? No, it's not the weirdest boy band ever. They all met their end at the hand of an assassin. From seizing power to silencing dissidents, Assassins unpacks the moments in which someone decides that murder is the move. Search for Assassins with Aslan Pahari on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's now been more than 6 weeks since Dezi Freeman allegedly shot and killed 2 Victorian police officers, and still there's been no sight of him. But while the search continues, police in Western Australia are taking action. They've been swooping on people in the so-called sovereign citizen movement and confiscating their guns. Today, Dr. Kaz Ross, a researcher into far-right ideology and extremism, on whether other states should be doing the same thing. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily. Kaz, we're going to have a look at what's being done about the potential threat posed by so-called sovereign citizens since the killing of 2 police officers in Victoria. But first, the search for Dezi Freeman, who's the alleged gunman, where is that up to? Because they still haven't found him.
Yes, I think this is of great concern. Of course, people are wondering, is he still alive? Is he hidden in a bunker somewhere? Is he in a cave? Does he have a network of people helping him out? But I think at this stage we really don't know, and perhaps we will never really know what's happened to Dezi Freeman.
Now, the Age newspaper, it reported that Dezi Freeman's brother, he believes that he is dead. And then he also uploaded, Kaz, some old videos of Dezi Freeman. One showed Dezi talking in a fake American accent about skiing near Mount Buffalo.
How did that feel, Des, for me?
Oh, up on the slopes here of Mount Buffalo at Desi's backyard.
Now, these are all really old videos, but of course there's so much interest in this case, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. I mean, I've heard some wild rumours that his friends have spirited him away and he's living his best life in far north Queensland. And it's interesting that many people with those kinds of beliefs want him to be a folk hero and they want him to survive. So he will become a legendary figure. In some people's minds, he's like a Ned Kelly. You know, that he's an anti-authority figure, but they're hoping that, unlike Ned Kelly, that he's surviving out there somewhere.
All right, well, his nephew, Luke Philby, he was interviewed on the ABC 7:30 program. He's actually, well, he says, been estranged from him for many years, but he really did paint a pretty complicated picture, a complicated family life.
He changed his name then to start a new life, I guess. I guess he felt that the family abandoned him. The family did him wrong.
I think a number of people have said that they thought he was radicalised during the COVID era. But if you look at his earlier Facebook postings and his networks, he was well and truly anti-authority, well and truly before COVID, talking about police as, walking corpses, talking about police as demons, very obsessed with guns, very obsessed with his gun rights, also connected into the men's rights movement. It was a very grievance-based movement, often for men that have had difficulties with the family court.
What dominated discussions at family occasions?
His court hearings, gun laws. He was extreme about it. He had to be extreme about it. It wasn't about having the guns, it was about the laws.
All right, well, Kaz, as this search for Dezi Freeman continues, let's have a look now at what's been happening on the sidelines. Now, just a reminder, sovereign citizens believe they are not bound by government laws, right? They see governments as being completely illegitimate.
Yes, that's right. They have a sense of a natural law that exists outside of our notion of law. So some people call them pseudo-law adherents. I think that can be a useful term because when you think of sovereign citizens and how we talk about them just in day-to-day life, they seem to be a lawless type and beyond the law. But in actual fact, they've often got a sense of the law, their own law, which is very complicated and very involved. So we could call that pseudo-law. It's not like they're living outside of judges, sheriffs, court cases, constitutions, this kind of thing. They just have their own version of it.
It's a movement that seems to have a lot of support, Kaz, in Western Australia. And it was in Western Australia on the weekend that police moved in on some members of this group. Just tell me about that.
Yeah, this was a very, very interesting move. A number of gun owners were reporting that they were concerned about other gun owners and are very concerned that they had these sovereign citizen or possible extremist beliefs, but they were still gun owners. And so the Western Australia Police went and checked a whole lot of properties, and these were the properties of licensed gun owners. And they were looking for unlicensed weapons or illegally stored weapons, improperly stored weapons, improperly stored ammunition, and illegal items like suppressors and things like that. And they managed to confiscate a number of guns. They cancelled a number of gun licenses as well, and have charged a few people with offences. So this is a very significant move, I think, in the treatment of sovereign citizens anywhere in the world.
Now, just to clarify though, there is a new law in Western Australia, isn't there, that allows police to actually remove them if a person is found not to be fit and proper to hold the licence.
Yes, that's right. So you have to be a fit and proper person to hold a gun licence. And this is something, it's not a completely new concept. We have a notion that if people behave in a certain way or hold a certain set of beliefs around violence, that they may not be fit and proper people to hold a firearms licence. And I think that it's a very interesting and welcome development that the Western Australian Police are taking this so seriously that they've actually gone in and revoked these licences and gone and checked these premises and removed these weapons.
WA Police have made no secret of their crackdown on sovereign citizens, supplying vision of their operation and the firearms they confiscated.
At this point in time, that you are not a fit and proper person to be in possession of a firearm.
So namely, you're identified linked to an organisation, Australian Sheriffs. This organisation demonstrates sovereign citizen ideologies.
We're here to serve some paperwork when you seize your firearms, okay? The firearms will be coming with us today.
7 people were charged, 44 gun licences were cancelled or suspended, and 135 guns were seized.
The Western Australia Police say, we believe that there's a connection between anti-government and possible extremist beliefs and the possibility of committing violence using weapons. And that comes on the basis of a number of police in recent times being shot and killed.
Well, the WA Police Commissioner, Cole Blanche, he does say that his assessment is that sovereign citizens, because they don't believe that the law actually applies to them, that means they are not fit or proper to have a gun licence.
You can believe what you want. You can hate the police, you can hate the government of the day, you can hate the fact that we all pay tax. I think we all hate that fact. But this is not that. This is someone saying, I fundamentally reject the laws of the land. If you don't recognise the Firearms Act, or you don't believe you're subject to the enforcement within the Firearms Act by WA Police because it's not a real entity, how can I as Commissioner in good faith so that you're a fit and proper person.
The WA Premier, Roger Cook, he's backed police in here.
People who reject the very idea of our laws represent a risk to our community, and I'm not surprised the Police Commissioner has taken the step to take their guns away from them.
Well, Kaz, on the flip side of this, there is concern that the actions by WA Police plays into the hands of sovereign citizens because it cements their anti-establishment ideals and could exacerbate them and could draw more people to the cause.
The idea that the government are coming to take their guns is one deeply, deeply embedded in this community. So therefore, for the government to send in police that then visit licensed gun owners, they say they're law-abiding, they're peaceful, they've committed no crimes, and to have the police come and, they would say, raid their properties, take away their lawfully owned weapons and possibly charge them spuriously, for them this is a very egregious act. And so this community is already pretty angry with the government, and they're even more angry when they see what they say is injustice. I think in this particular case, the police and the government have been transparent about what they're doing. They've been transparent about the laws, and they've explained what they're doing in some detail. But I believe that for this particular group, any government action on guns will just feed their anger towards the government.
What about their civil liberties? Because just because they have a gun licence, it does not mean that they're going to go out and shoot someone.
Absolutely. However, I would note that we are not America, and we do not have a constitutional right to bear arms. And so in which case then to own a gun is not your right. It is actually a privilege in our society. The society is saying you need to be a fit and proper person and has decided what is a fit and proper person.
All right, well, Kaz, WA Police have moved, of course. Do you think it's something now that other states should consider doing too, or should there actually be further action, stronger action to ban this group across Australia? What do you think?
I think that after the Williambilla incident, tragic incident, there were very strict and strong calls for a national gun register. So I think that's one important action. I personally am in support of stricter gun laws. In terms of how to deal with the sovereign citizens, I'm not sure that banning them is really going to work. It's very difficult to ban a set of beliefs.
All right, well, Dezi Freeman, of course, remains at large. What do you think this whole affair has done for the movement?
I think it's probably polarised the movement, that while Dezi Freeman has his supporters, and some of them have jumped onto microphones at public rallies that we've seen in the last couple of months across Australia, and some of Dezi Freeman's supporters have said on microphones to large crowds of people that they think that he's a hero, that he was just defending his property, his private property. These sorts of views have been expressed very publicly. So some people have doubled down. But I think that a number of people who might have just been on the fringes of the sovereign citizen movement have really taken a pause and had a breath and thought, you know what, yeah, this is a bit extreme, this is too much. And so while it may have agitated the rusted-on sovereign citizens, I'm hopeful that a number of people that were in their orbit have been pushed away from them.
Dr. Kaz Ross is a researcher into far-right ideology and extremism in Australia. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed and Jessica Wukyanov. Audio production by Sam Dunn. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. Thanks for listening.